Alright, what's going on, everyone? We got a, well, I want to say Shonen Jump stream, but that's technically not what we're doing. We're doing our usual Marshal King Dr. Stone stream, but I do want to kind of talk about the state of Shonen Jump so far, because we're roughly approaching the spring season. The winter anime are wrapping up. Dr. Stone only has one more week. I believe Solo Leveling only has one more week. So all of the spring anime are going to start in about 3 weeks. So we are getting close to the spring season. So before we get to the spring, I want to kind of talk about Shonen Jump, where it's at, what my predictions were in winter, how those have changed, how I was right, how I was wrong, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Luffy Blazing said, "This is gonna be fun. I honestly think it's doing fine. Could always do better. There'll always be something to buy in hype for a new series." Yeah, so Shonen Jump is doing good so far for the Now, when I say Shonen Jump, in this context, I'm saying weekly Shonen Jump. Of course, Shonen Jump Plus, there's Jump Square, there's V Jump, but in this case, I'm kind of just talking about weekly Shonen Jump, although I will throw Manga Plus into the ring, which is just Shueisha, but specifically Jump Plus. Excuse me. Also, can everyone hear me okay? I have a new audio setup, so I just want to make sure everyone can actually hear me. Okay, you can hear. Perfect. Thank you. Let's start by talking about Dr. Stone, only because I only have some quick thoughts on that one. And actually, before I do that, I just want to share the stream over on Twitter. Ashi's said, "Did I watch today's Dr. Stone episode? It was peak." I agree. Usually when somebody says it's peak, it's kind of exaggeration. But I think this was one of the better looking Dr. Stone episodes. I thought the animation looked really good. There were a few bits that looked kind of derpy, as I like to say, but overall I thought this was one of the most consistent looking Dr. Stone episodes of the season. There really wasn't too much recap in the beginning. I thought they did a nice job of focusing on Chrome and his crew. They really focused in on Carlos today, which was interesting. And then, of course, we got the stuff with Senku and Luna, which was nice. I thought they did a good job with that. The pacing for this episode was interesting. Definitely not bad. Definitely good. Pacing felt maybe. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the pacing. It felt fine. I would probably give today's episode like a 7. The mobile lab animation in the aircraft one too. Yeah, so the aircraft one was interesting because they did the CGI. The CGI was okay. as good as CGI can be. But yeah, the mobile lab animation was pretty good when he was darting around all the trees. Okay, I shared. How are they going to adapt the remaining 6 chapters into 2 20-minute episodes? Wait, is it 12 episodes or 11 episodes? I'm pretty sure it's 11 episodes. If it's 11 episodes, then I think what they're going to do is leave it on a cliffhanger. Leave it on a cliffhanger right before. Let me double check because I could have sworn it was 11 episodes. Okay, it is. It is 12 episodes. Thank you, Ashi. I know my guy woke up and chose violence with this tier list. Well, Lucas, you know, someone's gotta lay the rules down for Shonen Jump. Someone's gotta say it like it is. So yeah, if it's 12 episodes, I think what's gonna happen is they're either going to end it right before they leave for South America, or like right after they leave for South America. But I agree. I am curious to see how they execute this. But overall, I'm happy with Dr. Stone Season 1 so far. Def says hello. Well, hello, Def. Hopefully you're not literally deaf, or this whole exchange is a bit fruitless, a bit moot. Yeah, I pretty much expected Dr. Stone Season 1 to end right around the time they leave for South America, and it seems like that's going to be the case. It seems like they're going to end it right around that point. But where exactly is kind of where the gray area is. Also, the OST at the end was fire. Yeah, the OST, the soundtrack for Season 4 has been really nice. I feel like they've been doing a slightly better job of that in Season 4 than in Season 3. Season 3, I felt like there wasn't really too much or too many new soundtracks. But this episode or this season, they've been doing a really good job of new tracks, which I like. And it's like specific to the region. Like they're trying to suggest, imply some like American influence with like the country themes, and leaning slightly more into the pop music, hip hop, R&B themes, vibes. So yeah, they've been doing a really good job with the soundtrack this season. Part 2 definitely in summer and part 3 in fall. Did they announce part 2? I mean, a release date anyway. it would definitely be awesome if it came back for the summer. I don't know if that's what they're gonna do. I'm kind of expecting them to wait until the fall or winter, but that would be dope if we got to watch Dr. Stone this summer. New Way Exorcist, yeah, I saw this today. Luffy Blazing says New Way's Exorcist got the most votes of wanted anime by the fans. Yeah, it's crazy how New Way's Exorcist kind of lasted. In a way, it's kind of like Yozakura Family, where Yozakura Family never really like did super well, but it did good enough. Excuse me. It did good enough that it got to occupy its own space in the magazine. And like after a while, after like 100 chapters, it was pretty much safe from the cut. New Way's Exorcist is, at least in the West. In Japan, it's probably a different story. I mean, clearly it's a different story, right? In the West, it's kind of just been an afterthought, especially early on. Even like hardcore Jump fans were like, whatever. But the longer it's lasted, the more I've seen people hyping up this series. I consistently see people saying how good the series is and how it's worth reading. And so I'm surprised, but I'm also not. Because it seems like one of those situations where it's just naturally going to have more of a Japanese audience. It doesn't have like a classic shonen art style, so to speak, like a Jujutsu Kaisen or like a Soul Eater, right? And it's an Exorcist series, which Japanese fans love, but it can be sort of hit or miss over here. So yeah, New Way's Exorcist is in a good spot. So actually, I checked to see chapters. Does it? Yeah, New Way's Exorcist has 89 chapters. So realistically, it's right at the sweet spot for an anime announcement. An anime announcement for something that is like an okay series and isn't like the next big thing, like a My Hero Academia or a Black Clover, or like like a A tier or B tier series. Usually around chapter 90-ish, chapter 100 is where they would announce an anime. I don't think we've seen any rumors yet. I don't even know who would take it, but I think based on the general vibes I've seen for this series and based on the demand in Japan, clearly, I think there's a strong chance that they'll announce New Way's Exorcist within the next 10 to 20 chapters, which would mean either somewhere in the summer or somewhere in the fall. But probably by the end of the year, I would expect an anime announcement for New Way's Exorcist. One of my thoughts on the Ichinose family's Deadly Sin manga. Well, that ended, right? That ended a while ago. I never finished that manga. I thought it was okay to begin with. But it kind of lost me. It wasn't really my kind of story. I didn't think it was bad. But the art style was good. And it's one of those cases where I like when writers try to do I like when writers try to do games with characters, right? Like in Full Metal Alchemist, the villains are all like one human sin, so they're all one-dimensional, as one-dimensional as a character can be. So I like when writers come up with rules for characters. Like the rule in Ichinose case was nobody can remember who they are. Um, so that's, I'm not generally against amnesia, but the problem with Ichinose was in two cases. One, it was for the whole cast, so nobody knows who they are. They're all a bunch of strangers, which is interesting at first, but after a while, it kind of makes it hard to be invested in the characters. And then the other problem was, like the characters that, like the people that they were, apparently they were just like total garbage, right? So for me, it was kind of hard to invest in the characters. I liked the premise, but it was hard for me to stay invested. So let's take a look at Shonen Jump. So we have, and so I'll start with Weekly Shonen Jump, and then I might get into Jump Plus. But I kind of want to stick to Weekly Shonen Jump first, at least. The Weekly Shonen Jump is, Lucas says, I couldn't get over the fan service and how cringe some of the moments are in Nue's Exorcist. So I've only read the first chapter. I don't remember a whole lot of fan service. How cringe some of the moments are. So what are some examples of cringe moments? Like, are they horny moments? Are they like edgelord moments? Are they like super emotional or overly emotional? So our Weekly Shonen Jump lineup as of March the 13th, excuse me, is I'm just going off of the lineup this week. Ichi the Witch, One Piece, Sakamoto Days, Kagurabachi, Akane Banashi, Embers, Shinobi Undercover, Yoshi, Imaten, Sidcraft, Blue Box, Nue's Exorcist, Star of Beethoven, Witch Watch, Astro Royale, Kill Blue, Me and Roboco, Policeman Chojo, Elusive Samurai, and that's it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 13, 17, 18, 19 manga, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, horny moments between the MC and the girls. Ooh. That's not always the best. Lasher Luke in the chat. What's going on, Luke? Luke, what did you think of today's Dr. Stone episode, if you were able to watch it yet? I gave today's episode a 7 out of 10. I thought it was really good. And it was definitely one of the more consistent. Who's that in the chat? Why do I hate Blue Box so much? So I will put a disclaimer. To be fair, I have not read Blue Box forever, but what I did read of it, I thought was really, really mind-numbing. We got Blitzdrake in the chat. What's going on, Blitzdrake? Hey, I just finished dinner. I'm late. That's okay, man. We're only like 20 minutes into the stream, so we still got plenty of time. Um, so why don't I like Blue Box? Well, I guess we'll start with Blue Box. Why don't I like Blue Box? The reason I don't like Blue Box is because it tries to be a sports manga and a romance manga, and I feel like it fails at both. And again, so if Shonen Jump will, yeah, that's definitely wrong. I think I got to about volume 10, if I'm not mistaken. Did I read Marshal King today? No, not yet. We're going to do that later during the stream. Luke said pretty good, but I'm curious if the next 2 episodes are going to be 3 chapters of content, considering we have like 6 chapters left to adapt. We'll switch to affect Weekly Jump. Why would the Nintendo Switch affect Weekly Shonen Jump? I don't think that's that crazy, because Dr. Stone is usually like 2 chapters and change, closer to 2. So considering it's a lot of action, I think 3 chapters per episode, or like one of the episodes is maybe like 4 chapters and then the next one is like 2. I don't think that's that crazy. They might also stop in the middle of that last chapter, which they have done before. Yeah, Blue Box, I read first 10 volumes, I want to say. It does the same thing that Nagatoro does, where they sort of like, in a very childish way, negotiate for the romance or like set goals for the romance. And you see it in other romance series too. You see it kind of in Kaguya-sama a bit. You see it to a very small extent in Komi-san. This idea that like we're gonna make goals for the characters, and like when they accomplish the goals, that's when the romance progresses. So like in Nagatoro, they make this deal that they're not gonna start dating until the main character finishes art school or whatever, and Nagatoro wins the karate tournament. Not karate, but whatever, the martial arts tournament. In Blue Box, I can't remember exactly, but the main character is like, oh, well, I'm not going to ask her out unless I do such and such in my tournament. I forget what does he do again? He plays badminton, right? I know it's not tennis. Is it badminton? That's the other thing too. It's like, I'm not crazy about soccer, but like I could get behind soccer, right? And the problem with sports manga is like they've done all the sports. So if you're gonna do a sport that's already been done, you have to make a unique enough story. Like the main girl in Blue Box plays basketball, right? Obviously, there's already a basketball manga, so it can't be like the sole focus. And then obviously every other sport has been done, like football, hockey, technically, racing, basketball, soccer, volleyball, right? Like they've done everything. They've done all the main sports anyway. I'm currently still waiting until they do a NASCAR manga. I mean, if Shonen Jump wants to impress me, they'll do a NASCAR manga. But my point is, I don't like Blue Box for a couple of reasons. One, it tries to be a sports manga and a romance manga, and it fails at both, in my opinion. And I also don't like the two main characters. IQ is volleyball, right? Exactly. And that's like such an iconic series, right? Like it's practically up there with One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach in terms of popularity. Like so many people were like, "Hey, I think I'm gonna get into volleyball," right? Just because of IQ. Like it's about badminton. Like, come on. Like I get it, people are into what they're into. But if one of my friends was like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing tonight?" "Oh, nothing. Why?" "Oh, we're gonna go to the local badminton tournament. Do you want to come?" I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, geez, I have to go to that thing." Like badminton, really? So yeah, I just I think a blue box redo, a blue box number 2 is due for me. I don't know when I'm gonna do it, but I'll do it soon. Because enough people like Blue Box where I feel like I should give it another chance. I don't know that I'll make a video on it because I don't want to be the guy where everyone likes Blue Box and then I try to make a video like, "Hey, you know that thing you like and it's perfectly okay for you to like it? Yeah, well, I'm here to tell you it's stupid." Anyway, we got GamerChan Leanne in the chat. What's going on, Leanne? Blitzdrake said, "I tried the inferior football, the American one, because of iShield 21. Hey, man, I like American football way more than soccer. You better watch yourself there." Nue was announced that, yeah, we talked about that, Josh. Thank you for reminding me. We were talking about how I would expect an anime announcement for Nue's Exorcist by the end of the year. Probably by the end of the fall. Looks like I arrived a bit late. No, we're still talking about Shonen Jump. I only talked about Blue Box. Sorry if I was late. No, Josh, you're fine. Yeah, it's the kind of thing. That's why I'm saving Marshal King till later, because I know people were kind of joining late. What's good? We got Eden's in the chat, rocking the custom Shonen Ouji Turbo Granny emoji. Friendly reminder, if you want custom, exclusive to this channel, Shonen Ouji emojis, like Turbo Granny, like Excalibur, like Shonen Ouji himself, like a funny Wano Robin reaction face, you can become a channel member today. The first tier, recruit tier, you can join for just $2.99 a month. You get custom Dr. Stone exclusive to this channel loyalty badges. You get the emojis that I just discussed. You get a bunch of other rewards in the other tiers. So make sure to join today. It's the best way to support the channel. Helps support the editors on the channel. Helps support the streams. If you want to see me stream as often as I do, as well as I do, and you'd like to see me improve the streams, then supporting me through even just the recruit tier is a huge help. It's the easiest way to support the channel. That's exactly what I said, man. You're right. It's the easiest way to support the channel. Where was I? Okay, but is Blue Box worse than Rent a Girlfriend? I actually like Rent a Girlfriend more than Blue Box. And I won't go on a whole rant about it, but the reason I like Rent a Girlfriend more than Blue Box is Blue Box tries to be a genuine romance series, like a feel-good romance series. And it misses for me. It falls flat. It feels dumb, and I feel pandered to. Pandered to? Yeah, pandered to. Whereas with Rent a Girlfriend, it is very transparent about being a trash series. It is like the reality TV of anime. It is like the Keeping Up with the Kardashians, the Bravo TV of anime. And I am totally okay with that. At no point is it trying to be, okay, let me rephrase that. There are some wholesome scenes, but at no point is it trying to be a wholesome anime. Not in the slightest. So for that reason, I like Rent a Girlfriend more than Blue Box. That's a take? Look, man. You can clip that. You can post it. You can blast me. Blame me. Whatever. I will die on that hill. I'm not necessarily saying Rent a Girlfriend is, you know, a great series, but damn does it make for some good television. Rent a Girlfriend better than Vagabond? I wouldn't go that far. I had a comment from Luke. What did Luke say? We got Oscar L in the chat with a Polish dollars, I believe. 10 Polish dollar donation. Super chat, I should say. Thank you so much, Oscar. Hello there, manga fellas. Well, hello, Oscar. Pleasure to have you, and thank you so much for the super chat. Friendly reminder, if you'd like to highlight your comment, if you really want to get my attention, if you just want to support the channel, super chats are another great way to help out. Again, they support editors, and they help support the streams, so I can keep doing this every week, 3 times a week. And if you don't want the commitment of being a member, super chats, nice, easy way to support the channel. The Kardashians lost me when Kim divorced Kanye. You know, they're still good TV. I know at one point, I can't find the comment, but Luke said, am I caught up on Witch Watch, and what's my opinion on Witch Watch at the moment? So let me check, because last time I remembered, I was like 15 chapters. And of course, Viz isn't going to tell me where. It's on chapter 193, so I think I'm on like 180? Maybe? No. 76? No. 72? Okay, so I'm like, I am 20 chapters behind. So I am not a good spokesman for the current, like, up-to-date state of Witch Watch. I would say Witch Watch is in a good spot, relatively speaking. I can't speak to the sales or anything like that. I do feel like discourse for the series has kind of died down, but we're also getting the anime in a few weeks, so I think that's not going to be a huge problem. I think once the anime comes back, discourse for the series is going to get a bit of a revitalization. But other than that, I feel like it's a perfectly good series. Blitz Drake said, it's been a month since I've talked about Kagurabachi. Definitely hasn't been a month. I talked about it this last Sunday. But what do I think of the current arc? I definitely wouldn't say it's meh. I do feel like it's not hitting the same highs, but it is doing good. Out of the big 3, which one is your favorite? So going from highest to lowest, it goes One Piece, Bleach, Naruto. Bleach is just below One Piece, and then Naruto is not that far off from Bleach. But if you ask me 10 times which one do I like better, 9 times out of 10 I would say Bleach. Probably closer to 10. But there are some days where, you know, I stand Naruto. Did I read the bonus chapter? No, I still am behind on Yozakura Family. I haven't had the time because I'm behind on that series by like 100 chapters. So if I want to catch up on that series, what I'm probably gonna do is just gonna I'll read it from um beginning to end. If Shinigami Sama, that's definitely a take. We have Surge Soul in the chat. Well, hello, Surge Soul. Pleasure to have you. Welcome to the stream. Josh said, I can understand how you feel about Blue Box. Good news is it's ending soon. I don't hate Blue Box. It's just based on my impression and based on how much people stan that series. It would be one thing if it was kind of like a Witch Watch, where people like Witch Watch, but people don't go out of their way for like a Witch Watch agenda, right? Like they're not zealous Witch Watch fans. The people who like Blue Box really like Blue Box. And if you say anything bad about it, you're like, bro, you're a hater. Why are you hating on the series? Blah, 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 blah. Right? They get very defensive. They can easily make a sequel to Blue Box. God, that would be so annoying. So Josh likes One Piece, than Naruto, than Bleach. That is totally fine. I understand if you like Naruto over Bleach. Do I think Shonen Jump can produce another big three? Keyword is can, not will they. Can they? They could, absolutely, but as most people like to say, Sean, it was just sort of the right manga at the right time. Big Three is really just a Western term of art, so to speak. So I don't know what the likelihood is. There certainly could be, but I'm in no interest of forcing another Big Three. We can't even agree on what generation we're on. I mean, My Hero Academia has been over for like 6 months and people still call it a new gen series. And we can figure that out. We can figure out a new Big Three. Big Three of next era won't even air together. Not sure what you mean by that. Luke says, I'm going to say this. Yozakura Family has one of the best finales in the last 5 years when it comes to Jump. Yeah, I really don't remember anyone complaining about the ending. Overall, I remember people liking that ending, so I would have to agree based on my experience. Oscar recommends for a good romance. Ono Kaisha Nisuki na Hito ga Imasu. A romance between adults who act like adults. Okay. I would have to look it up and see what the premise is, because I feel like there's more to the premise, but I'll keep my eye out for that one for sure. It's been a million lifetimes since I found you live. Well, Surge Soul, pleasure to have you. Pleasure to have you in the stream. Welcome aboard. Hope they announce JJK Season 3 this year. Well, JJK is usually a winter anime. They usually do it either fall or winter. So if they're going to announce it, it would probably be. But that's an interesting one because they're working on the Chainsaw Man movie, and they have JJK, and they have Hell's Paradise, and whatever other stuff I'm forgetting. So curious to see. And if I remember correctly, they have the other Jujutsu Kaisen movie that they want to do. Yeah, Luke, I totally agree. We need to stop thinking about big three because there are more than just the big three in Jump. The problem is people who are interested in the big three are basically looking for like the same manga. Like they want the Hokage, the Pirate King, the Wizard King, right? They want the same story over and over and over, and everything else is everything. I'm not involved in the West Blue Box fandom, but in my Polish environment, I have noticed that many people share the opinion that Blue Box is not as good as people try to say. I don't know, man. I might have to move to Poland. Apparently, that's the only place where I can find some refuge. So while we're talking about a new big three, Luffy Blazing says it's funny because One Piece is still going. I always add it in my new big three list. Well, that's why people get stuck on the whole new gen thing, right? Because they'll say, "Oh, well, One Piece is still going, so technically we're still in that One Piece generation." And it's like, I kind of feel like One Piece has to be an exception. But let's talk about where are we? Go to Shonen Jump. So the question on the table is who are the top dogs right now of weekly Shonen Jump? Not talking about Jump Plus, just weekly Shonen Jump. So prior to this year, if I remember correctly, my prediction was that most of Jump, specifically in context of like the fandom, most of Jump was going to be dominated by One Piece, Kagurabachi, and everything else was going to kind of be an afterthought. I was sort of right. Kagurabachi still gets the most attention, but it's not dominating. So One Piece, of course, is still the most talked about manga in Jump. It's still very much relevant, and that's only going to be, it's only going to continue to be the case as we progress through Elbaf. Kagurabachi is in a great spot considering it's still a relatively new series. The issue, or where I would say it's fallen short of expectations, is I don't really feel like it's broken into a new threshold of popularity. I feel like it's kind of flatlined with its ability to, or it's sort of flatlined in terms of growing its audience. I feel like all the people who are talking about Kagurabachi are all the same people. Like, I don't really seem to notice anyone saying there are new Kagurabachi things. I feel like right now Kagurabachi is in an interesting spot of people who have either been reading it for a while or people who don't have any interest in it. And I feel like that's not going to be a problem. This is definitely gonna get an anime at some point. It's gonna be a staple for a while, but it's in an interesting spot right now. Ouji, are you looking forward to when the One Piece anime comes back and we get the fight with the 5 elders? I am super excited. One Piece is going to be awesome. Top dogs right now are One Piece and Kagurabachi. You bring up Demon Slayer. I'm specifically talking about just the manga in the weekly Shonen Jump magazine. So Demon Slayer, yes, if we were talking about anime. I think the main dogs are One Piece, Sakamoto Days, Kagurabachi, and Ichi the Witch. As for new titles that are sleepers, SU, Shinobi Undercover, Himiten, and Kyoshi. Beethoven's been making waves on Japanese Twitter. Okay, that's good to know. That reminds me, Ouji, your video on why no one is talking about this series. I'm assuming you're talking about Shangri-La Frontier. What I meant by that is if an anime isn't airing, it's hardly talked about. Oh, yeah. I see what you mean. So, if an anime isn't airing, it's hardly talked about, such as with One Piece. Yes, that is generally the case. What is the gun one by Ouji? So that's Marshal King, but that is not Weekly Shonen. We are going to read Marshal King in a bit, but I'm going to hold off for now. Who's everyone else? Eden says, I think Ichi the Witch will be in those conversations in due time. Yeah, so I want to talk about Ichi the Witch, because Ichi the Witch has kind of surpassed my expectations. I think everyone else's. Maybe. So Oscar said, I don't recommend going to Poland unless you want peace from fatty foods and guns. There are other countries for that too. True. Yeah, maybe I'll just do a backpacking trip through Europe. Pull a Joey. Then I'll have a good Europe story. One Piece is technically airing, but also it's not. Because that's like if an anime is airing and somebody says, oh, hey, did you catch the new episode of whatever, My Hero Academia? And it was a recap episode. It's like, no, of course I didn't. It was a recap episode. Why would I watch that? The same thing with One Piece. It's like, oh, did you watch the new episodes of One Piece? It's like, maybe. Like, I don't know if I want to watch Fishman Island all over again. Maybe. But I'm not going to make a weekly habit of it. Talking about Ichi, do I think Descarus is the new Gojo? No. Not yet. Anyway. Descarus definitely has aura, right? She has aura. So in that sense, she's like Gojo. But the thing with Gojo is part of his energy, part of his hype was how stupidly broken he was. Like, he basically controlled the laws of nature, which was ridiculous. Descarus, I feel like, is really, really strong, but she's not nearly as OP, even in the context of Witch Watch, of Ichi the Witch, as Gojo was. So she's in the ballpark, but I definitely wouldn't say she's the new Gojo yet. But So let me sort of go through a jump here. So Ichi the Witch, I thought was going to be kind of in the background for a while. I thought there was going to be a lot of hype for it early on, like the first 10 chapters, and then it was going to kind of back off, and then slowly pick up. But it's on chapter 25, so it's almost got 30 chapters. I really don't feel like the hype has died down that much. It's definitely not as crazy as the first like 5 chapters or so, but it's doing really good. Like, I see people talking about it consistently every week. So I feel like we're going to be in a situation where if it stays consistent, Ichi the Witch and Kagurabachi are going to be like the new My Hero Academia and Black Clover. Not that either of them is a direct parallel to either of those two manga, but I feel like they're going to be the two new manga that are like the two top dogs of Shonen Jump that everyone is talking about. So that's Ichi. Sakamoto Days is Sakamoto Days. I don't think it's getting any more new fans. I feel like the anime had its initial hype, and then that's pretty much it. So it's kind of like Spy Family. There'll be new fans, but I think we've seen the height of its popularity at this point. I'm behind, but you know, it's a okay series. Akane Banashi is good, but at this point we're at chapter 150. We still haven't seen an anime announcement, so I feel like I don't know what the future of this series looks like. Embers is Embers. It's whatever, in my opinion. Been seeing people talk about Shinobi Undercover, so that has some promise. Kyoshi is my low-key favorite. I like Kyoshi more than Kagurabachi, if I'm being honest. For me, it's like neck and neck with Ichi the Witch. It has the potential to be on par with those two, but its ability to do so will depend on how well or how good this current arc will be, and then how many new fans it can get. Because right now I feel like still kind of struggling to get new fans. Hematen, I haven't heard too much about. I will occasionally see people recommend Hematen. Sidcraft, I don't think will last very long. I feel like that died pretty fast. Blue Box is whatever. New Ways Exorcist isn't going anywhere. Beethoven, I feel like, is gonna die. It's inevitable. It's a worse 5P or PPPPP. Witch Watch will wrap up at some point. I don't know when. Kill Blue is whatever. Roboco is goated S tier for obvious reasons. Elusive Samurai, yeah, kind of lost me. Gojo, I feel like will get cut at some point. And then the last one is Astro Royale. I feel like Astro Royale will not get cut. I am suffering though with sub bro. I don't know what you mean. Astro Royale is in a weird spot where it's pretty good, but I feel like it's struggling to get new fans. It doesn't have nearly as much hype right now as Ichi the Witch, so I feel like it could get cut this year, which is a shame. I like it, and I like the premise, and I like that we have Ken Wakoi. At the same time, um, uh, the Manga Crush, Manga Crash, and Axel Ablaze crew brought up a good point in Trenton. Brought up a good point of Shonen Jump went to the effort of poaching Ken Walkaway from Kodansha. So I feel like they would naturally be hesitant to just like cut the manga and then be like, all right, good luck. Astro is getting published by Viz. If it sticks around, I might read it. That's the thing. I don't know what the future of this series looks like right now. I like it, but I don't know how long it's going to last, given how it's performing. By the way, Witch Watch will be released first episodes in Polish cinemas. That's really cool. I didn't expect it because the series is not super popular. And if something is to appear here, it probably has to be super popular. Yeah, it's kind of random. But I don't know, Oscar. I know you're not trying to, but I might have to move to Poland. You got Witch Watch. They don't have Blue Box. So, sounded pretty cool. Anyway, I've been streaming for an hour, so let's read some Marshal King, and then we'll talk about that, and then we'll wrap things. So for anyone who is not caught up on Marshal King, we are reading Marshal King Chapter 6. On that note, if you don't want any spoilers on Marshal King, this might be a good point to piece out of the stream, but we are reading the Marshal King Chapter 6. So we have Jim and Dutch. He just defeated the head of the Raiders. He says, I will become a marshal, then I will revive the king's power, bring an end to this millennia-long era of desperados. That is my dream. Sort of recapping what happened last chapter. Okay, so he still hasn't killed the Raider. The Raider is still alive, barely it seems. He says, a certain city once flourished. He turns to Dutch and he goes, what was it called again? He goes, are you that dumb? It was Grammarly. He says, yes, this is Grammarly, a place where justice-seeking allies assemble. You guys hurt those allies. You're going to pay the price for that. Not gonna be. So he sticks his hands out in like this, I guess Harry Potter pose. Or like, I don't even know what I would call that. But this epic pose. He puts his hands out. He says, in like a 80s TV fashion, he goes, great arm, or like a fantasy fashion. He goes, great arms of the king, give me strength. And then we pan out to the resting place of M. Godspeed, which is apparently just some random cave. Ouji art is supreme. It's beyond supreme. God tier. You know, in the case of opinions about Blue Box, I'm talking more about my large group of people and what I see. I don't follow the opinions of all Polish fans. No, I wouldn't expect you to represent all of Poland. But you certainly know more native Polish people than I do. So the coffin of M. Godspeed breaks open. His corpse collapses into pieces. And the magnum, whatever the magnum was called for M. Godspeed, crosses over into a big X, soars straight up into the sky at the base of a mountain, flies all the way 75 kilometers Jim Godspeed fuses with his arms, clearly in a painful fusion. It's chewing my arms up. This is the king's power. hurts like hell. The raider basically says, "You want to judge me? You're the son of a major outlaw." But then Jim says, "You're knocking at death's door, but I'll let you in on a little secret. I've known about you for a while, and I am not M. Godspeed's son." That was somewhat vague. Because he knows about the raider, and then his only response to that is, "I am not M. Godspeed's son." But really, I think the implication there is he knew about the plan the whole time, but he never really consented to it, I guess. He was never going to go along with it. And we got Justin in the chat. Justin, long time no see. Better late than never. That's okay. Pleasure to have you. Good to see you. Poland has two types of anime fans, those who are anime fans and those who are Dragon Ball fans. That is very okay. Even if you just like Dragon Ball, you are still an anime fan in my book. A very casual one, but still an So there's the issue of Jim saying, "I am not M. Godspeed's son." So the Raider and Dutch are both like, "Wait, are you literally? Seriously? Right? Like, you're not M. Godspeed's son?" The Dutch says, "If you're not his son, then who are you?" And he says, "I told you, I'm Jim Godspeed." So he says, "Acknowledge me, Magnum of the first Marshal King." So he grabs Excalibur, the whole shebang-a-bang, right? The giant holster, upside down rock, opens up. He takes the Excalibur, holds it out like a sword, and it's this giant magnum revolver with this long ass grip. Very unusual grip, more like a sword than a gun. Very Ouji. Dutch says, "Do you plan on leaving the academy? You said you'd put an end to the era of desperados." He's like, "Yeah, I'm peacing out. But right now, I'm still a student of the school, which means there's something I need to do. The guys who hurt our allies are still running amok. I also haven't gotten payback for the injury they caused you. Magnum's first target will be them. This power, I'll use it to aid my allies before all else. That is my final order of business, student." So another thing about the gun is it's almost got like a bayonet design with like a pointed bore, right? Like a pointed barrel. So really just the coolest gun ever, basically. You're going to take on that massive brigade alone for the sake of allies. You're the epitome of... So he jumps out in front of all the students. He says, "Desperados, you're knocking at death's door, but make sure you never forget that this is the academy where Jim Godspeed studied." I don't know if getting admitted into a school and not taking a class technically counts as studying. Anyway, this was an awesome chapter of Marshal King. I'm curious to see what happens next week. I'm curious to see if he like actually takes some classes or if he really just like kills the raiders and then like pieces out before they notice he took the Excalibur. Because I'm sure they're going to be pissed about that. Right? Even if it acknowledges it. I don't think they just want to give away the Excalibur. Anyway, yeah, I'd give this week's chapter like a solid 6 or 7 out of 10. Sorry, I was playing Red Dead 2. If you were actually playing Red Dead 2, that is hilarious timing. Anyway, that's going to be it for this week's stream. Thank you, everyone who joined in. We had a great turnout. Great discussion as always. Thank you again to Oscar for the super chat. Friendly reminder again that super chats are a great way to support the channel. They support editors. They support me, obviously, but more so the channel. Also, friendly reminder that you can become a member if you want custom emojis and loyalty badges exclusive to the Shonen Ouji channel. Look out for a video this weekend. Sunday stream might be postponed. I will keep everyone up to date on that. I will probably stream Sunday. We'll see, but I'll keep everyone posted. But yeah, besides that, thanks everyone, and I will see you soon.